No compass. No problem. You can still navigate effectively using the sun and stars. However, it's important to note that eating wild plants or mushrooms without proper identification can be dangerous. Always consult a field guide or expert to ensure you positively identify any plant before consuming it. Additionally, remember that local laws and regulations apply to hunting, fishing, trapping, and foraging, so always check these before you begin your outdoor adventure. The first thing you need to know is that the sun typically rises in the east and sets in the west, but this isn't always a reliable navigation method on its own. Let's dive into how to navigate like a pro without any gear, while keeping in mind local laws and seasons that may affect your journey. Step 1. Find north with the sun. First, remember that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. In the northern hemisphere, if you face the rising sun at dawn, your left hand points roughly toward the north. If you face the setting sun in the evening, your right hand points roughly north. This works because of the sun's movement across the sky from east to west, but requires knowing which direction is east or west based on the time of day. For a more accurate method, hold up your arm and extend your thumb vertically. It should point approximately toward the celestial pole, where Polaris, the North Star, is located at night in the northern hemisphere. Always use a compass if available for precision and clarity. But what about when it's cloudy? Here's a trick. Make a shadow stick. Find a straight stick, plant it vertically on flat ground. Mark where its tip casts a shortest shadow at noon if you can determine local noon accurately. The shadow will grow longer as the day progresses and shorten in the evening. Draw a line along this mark to point roughly east-west, but remember that precise navigation requires more detailed methods or tools like a compass. Always check local regulations before setting up any markers or navigational aids on public lands. Next up, use your watch. If you have an analog watch with hands, lay it flat and point the hour hand toward the sun. Bisect the angle between the 12 o'clock position and the hour hand to find south if it's before noon, or north if afternoon. Remember, this method works best in the northern hemisphere during daylight hours and can be unreliable near the equator or poles. Always double-check with a map and compass when available for greater accuracy. Now let's move to night navigation. The stars can help guide you as well, but it's crucial to accurately identify key constellations. To find north using the stars, locate the Big Dipper constellation in the northern sky. Follow the line formed by the two outermost stars of the cup, often called the pointer stars, upwards until you see a relatively bright star. This is Polaris or the North Star. It sits almost directly above the Earth's axis, and its position points northward. However, always be aware of local laws and seasons that might affect your ability to navigate effectively in certain areas. But what if it's overcast and cloudy at night? In many regions, you can look for Orion's belt, a distinctive row of 3 bright stars. Drawing an imaginary line downward from this belt often points towards the southern direction, but this method varies by latitude and is only reliable in the northern hemisphere during certain seasons. Always consult local star charts or maps to ensure accuracy, as celestial navigation techniques differ based on geographical location and time of year. Remember, navigating without a compass should be supplemented with other methods like using a map and GPS when available, and always know your specific area's legal requirements for outdoor activities. Back to daytime. Use natural landmarks like the sun's position. Remember that while some say moss often grows on the north side of trees due to shade and moisture, this isn't a reliable indicator everywhere. Don't rely solely on it. Instead, learn cardinal directions using the sun and other dependable methods. Always check local conditions and don't assume any single sign will work universally without verification. Water features like rivers or streams generally flow downhill towards the ocean or other large bodies of water, but they don't necessarily indicate north or south consistently across all regions. However, in many areas, You can often determine higher ground and lower ground, which can help orient yourself if you know the general topography of your location. Always check local maps before heading out to understand the terrain better. Additionally, following a watercourse downstream might lead you to civilization more quickly than going upstream. Remember to stay aware of your surroundings and any potential hazards like rapids or steep banks when navigating by natural features. Now, here's something crucial. How do you know your east-west direction when the sun is low? Use the shadow stick method. At noon, when the sun is highest, find the shortest shadow and mark that spot. As the sun moves towards sunrise or sunset, the shadows get longer. At these times, draw a line perpendicular to the longest shadow. This line points directly west in the evening and east in the morning. Remember, it's important to use reliable methods and always carry a compass if possible for accuracy and safety. But what if you're in an area with no landmarks? Carry a small mirror or polished metal surface as part of your emergency kit. Use it to reflect sunlight. When you do, hold the mirror at a 45-degree angle to both the ground and the sun. This technique can help indicate rough directions. In the northern hemisphere, facing the light beam will orient you generally towards south, with north behind you. Remember, this method is an approximation and should be used alongside other navigation techniques for accuracy. Always check local regulations before setting out on any trip to ensure compliance with all legal requirements regarding equipment and conduct. Here's another trick. Find natural indicators. Look for lichen and algae growing on rocks, but remember that identifying direction this way isn't always reliable. Generally, in the northern hemisphere, you might notice these organisms growing more abundantly on rock faces facing south due to receiving more sunlight. But environmental factors like moisture can also influence their growth. Always use multiple methods to determine direction for greater accuracy and rely on a compass if one is available. But let's circle back to the basics. Why is knowing north so important? Knowing north is crucial because it helps you orient yourself relative to other cardinal directions, which can be vital in navigating through unfamiliar landscapes. Whether you're in a dense forest or crossing unknown territory, understanding your direction can make all the difference in finding your way out safely and efficiently. Now, here's the big question. What happens if you're lost in the middle of nowhere with no gear and no sun? You need to understand how constellations work together. The Southern Cross, crux, constellation is key for navigation south of the equator. Its longer axis points almost exactly toward the south celestial pole. Follow this line down, and there's your south. Remember, though, that relying on stars alone can be tricky due to light pollution and weather conditions. Always know local regulations about camping or navigating in restricted areas. In the northern hemisphere, Polaris isn't always visible in dense forests or during cloudy nights. That's where the Big Dipper comes in handy for finding north. Locate the Big Dipper early in the evening when setting up camp and note its position relative to your location. The next night, find it again. Follow the line drawn from the two stars at the outer edge of the Big Dipper's cup upwards to locate Polaris, which is almost directly above true north. Always remember that relying on natural navigation requires practice and familiarity with multiple methods, since conditions like dense forests or cloudy nights can obscure celestial bodies. But what if everything fails and you have nothing but the natural world around you? Stop. Don't move. Carefully look for any signs of human activity such as trail markers, roads, or even old tree carvings. These can provide crucial clues about your location and direction. Remember to also use natural navigation techniques like observing the sun's position during the day and finding Polaris, the North Star, at night if you don't have a compass. Always be aware of local laws regarding land use and permissions when exploring unfamiliar areas. Back to the sun. Here's a final tip. To navigate without a compass, rely on natural methods like the sun for direction. In the northern hemisphere, find north using the position of the North Star, Polaris, at night, or observe that the sun rises roughly in the east and sets in the west during the day. Avoid creating makeshift compasses with strings and sticks, as they're unreliable and won't account for local magnetic variations or other factors affecting true north. Always remember to check local laws regarding navigation aids and equipment, especially in protected areas. Remember, these skills work because they rely on nature's patterns and laws. In the northern hemisphere, the sun generally rises in the east and sets in the west, which can help you determine direction during daylight hours. At night, finding the North Star, Polaris, in the northern sky can guide your orientation since it points north. However, remember to check local regulations before practicing these techniques on protected lands or areas with specific conservation laws. But what's the most important thing to remember? Always pack a basic survival kit with essential items such as a map and compass, or a GPS device if feasible. If you find yourself without navigation tools, knowing how to use natural methods like the sun and stars for direction can be crucial in an emergency. However, it's vital to familiarize yourself with these techniques beforehand through proper training or guidance from experienced experts. And always stay informed about local laws regarding wilderness activity and land rights. Stay calm and use the natural world around you to navigate. Learn to read directions from the sun and stars, but always carry a map and compass as backup. Trust your instincts, but rely on knowledge and preparation to get you closer to safety. This is educational only. Foraging, hunting, and fishing carry real risks and are governed by local laws and seasons. Always verify plant and animal IDs with an expert. Follow your local regulations, and never eat anything you can't 100% identify. If you lose track of the sun as it moves across the sky, there's another way to find north during the day, the shadow stick method. Find a straight stick about a meter tall, plant it upright in the ground where sunlight hits it fully, and mark the tip of its shadow on the ground. Wait 10 minutes, then mark the new position of the shadow tip again.